Hi, my name is Michael Shaper, and today we're going to be talking about the food's impact on the brain. So everyone loves food, right? But what people don't really take into account is how it can actually affect your brain and everything that goes on around you. So many people believe that food doesn't really have a big impact on how your brain functions, it's going to affect your day, how it's going to have basically anything to do with the brain. But if you ever heard of other people talk about brain power, things like that can actually, it's true. It can actually have a big impact on the brain and how it functions throughout the day. And some certain things just to go off of is like learning, and whichever food you eat can have an impact on how you process information and how you can actually learn better if you eat certain foods, and learn not so well and intake information if you eat poor. We could go about how the placebo effect, if any of you heard about it. It's where it's usually used in a medical term where they give two groups of different medicine. One's the actual medicine, one is just a empty medicine, but it actually has been given studies where the effects on both are the same, just because people believe that what they're taking is going to be affecting them in that way, and it can do wonders in the food industry as well. So to start it off, food and mood have a big correlation. Now, what I'm talking about is serotonin. Serotonin is a big thing in your brain to where it's your emotional level to either if you're going to be happy the day or you're going to be sad throughout the day. But it can also change depending on what goes on throughout, if you get good news, bad news, such like that. But what I'm talking about is food. So if you have a low serotonin level, you've been sad throughout the day, right? But if you just come up to dinner, you get your favorite food. You eat it, you get a high serotonin dosage into your brain, and that can just flip on a switch and you'll be excited. You'll be like ecstatic throughout the entire day, and you'll have a better outlook on the day. And if you have low serotonin levels, you're not eating as well, it can definitely lead to depression, self-harming, suicide, can lead to a lot of things. And what I have for this is Mark David. He has a peer-reviewed scholarly article on how food and mood is directly correlated, and there's some other articles that go on about it, but Mark David's one is the one that explains it the best. So he goes on about how serotonin levels can have a big impact on what's going to be going throughout the day with the food. So the food is a big part when it comes to just having it, but Mark David explains how the vitamins and everything inside the food can give you what you need and make you excited throughout the day, make you able to actually, get that extra step that you need to go through the day. Like it's like an energy drink, right? But when it comes to the other side, it's just gonna be, if you have it's just gonna be bad food all placed together. You're gonna have a low serotonin level sent to your brain, not gonna do as much, and you're gonna be feeling sucky throughout the entire day. So other people like Aubrey Allison, she has an article about how food does not affect the brain whatsoever. She says that whatever food you eat has no effect on the brain just because it's food. It doesn't really do anything to the brain itself, but it just completely does everything for the brain. So today we're going to be moving on to the placebo. So, like I said earlier, the placebo effect, it's usually used in medical terms, but for food it can be used just as well. So we have the placebo effect in food. It can do wonders for you, actually. So say if you've been watching a food being prepared, a meal being prepared, you could easily have a good outlook on it or a bad outlook. Say if it's deep fried, it's just been salt all on it, you could just say that's going to be extremely unhealthy for me, and if when I eat it, it's going to negatively affect your body to the way that you're just going to wish you never had it, right? So in the article of peer reviewed that I had a great time reading, it was Eric Williams, and he just hit on the nail, right? He hit on the head. He directly had a study where they give two groups some food and they tell them how it was prepared, but on one group it was prepared beautifully, it was prepared all naturally. The other group had to eat food that they thought was, just put in through the gutters and stuff. It was just prepared terribly, and they actually had different results. So the side that was had it prepared terribly, it ended up they thought it was negatively affecting their body. They were feeling sluggish throughout the day. They weren't feeling too good. But the other side, they were feeling like they had just got a fresh new body and just like running around. They were just having a great time. So that's obviously an exaggeration, but the food that they had was prepared the same way, same everything, but yet people had different reactions to it, right? So it's all in how the brain got affected and how you thought it was prepared and taken into your body. And then this is going to move on to the last part that I'm going to be talking about is learning. So learning, you can just have a big impact on how you are successful, right? So food matters right there. If you just eating terrible and just have a lot of saturated fats and salty foods, you're going to have a tough time taking in information. So what I'm talking about is Jerry Wink's scholar-reviewed article. He has a ton of information and studies about how if you have been having a ton of salty foods, that it's going to be directly affecting the way that you can actually learn and intake information. He had a study in there that had two groups of men in their 40s take two standardized tests, one before the diet, one after the diet. And both these groups had a normal diet, and one of the groups had an extra oomph of salt, and the group that had the salt in their diet scored, I think, 70% less than the other group, which is a big difference, right? So salty foods can have a really big impact on how you actually learn. It can, especially in high school, if you have a lot of salty foods, you're not going to be able to be at the top thinking level that you would actually be if you had a normal diet, normal salty levels, things like that. So I just want to conclude, food has a direct levels of how it can affect your brain. If you eat well, great. That's not going to be any problem to you. But if you eat poorly, you got to think about how all these things can affect your brain, and you might even see notice little things that are actually affecting you day by day. And that's it. Thank you for listening. My name is Michael Shaver. Bye.